What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this one I'm going to break down what's going on with NIO stock and give you guys a 4th of July update video on NIO. I'm also going to talk about what's going on with the market for tomorrow, what we're seeing on the daily chart for NIO as something new has developed. Before I break anything down about all this information, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Webull link. The offer ends very soon. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. Anyways, let's talk about NIO, what on earth is going on. Well, just to remind you guys that right now, NIO is going to see a reaction based off the data that comes out for tomorrow. Tomorrow, for Wednesday, we have the market opening just like normal. It's going to be open for the full hours. And just to remind you guys, we have some economic optimism reports coming out at 10 o'clock a.m., so we could see some volatility then. But the bigger thing is going to be the FOMC minutes. Now, this is going to be like the FOMC meeting, except everything's going to be on paper. We're going to find out more insights on what the specific members of the Fed are going to be doing when it comes to policy, what their opinions are, and what they think is going to likely happen. Now, just to remind you guys, the majority of the members are a little bit more hawkish. Jerome Powell is being quite hawkish as of recent. There's an increased probability that this may cause the market to see more volatility and maybe even a shakeout. That's very possible. The market may cool off a bit, so be very careful when this data comes out. I want to warn you guys in advance. Then we also have Williams from the Fed speaking near the very end of the day. So, the Fed is going to come back, unfortunately, and this is going to cause more volatility. Now, I want to add something different about NIO than what I said yesterday, because I told you guys that it was holding up all right, but we could see a slight cool off temporarily based off the setup. And I also wanted to add that we have a potential bearish divergence that is developing. There's no guarantee, okay? There's no guarantee it's done yet or it's like fully developed, but it is developing. That means that if we get a rejection and NIO does start to cool off, that's going to give us confirmation that this has developed. But because we don't have confirmation of it developing yet, we need to wait for it first before we do turn a little bit more bearish. But I just want to add that when you look at NIO, the RSI has been making a lower high, but the price has made a higher high. The same thing could be said about, actually, you can't really see this on the MACD, but you could see it on the RSI. And then other indicators, if you look at like the stochastic, we're not really seeing the same thing. We actually have something very similar to developing, but I don't really use the stochastic for divergences. This tells me that there is a weakening of momentum on NIO right now, even though it has been pumping a bit. And we do have a potential reversal candle that could have developed. But once again, we have to wait for a signal of this confirmation just to be safe. So there's a chance NIO could come down to fill this gap down here and also the second gap. It could get a slight cool off, and the Fed could be the reason why it happens. The Fed may cool off the markets a little bit. That's just a possibility. Am I promising it? Not necessarily, but I just want to let you guys know there's an increased probability of this happening. But even if it happens, I still think that it's not the end of the world because the daily MACD is still strong. And there's a chance that NIO could just get a temporary cool off just a little bit before this thing just tries to continue to rip up later on. Just like how this thing was on an uptrend like here as it got to like 10.5. See how it like pushed up, it came down, pushed up, came down, pushed up. Well, we pushed up again. We could come down first and then push up even more. Really depends on the FOMC minutes, but there's an increased probability of that potentially happening. All right, so I wanted to inform you guys about this. And with that said, please enjoy the rest of July 4th, okay? For July 4th, don't forget that this is a very important day. Don't forget to remember those who fought for you, those who are there for you. Remember your families, and remember to be grateful on a daily basis. Have a very happy 4th of July. This is a Independence Day holiday in America, so please enjoy it. For everyone out there and for people around the world, remember to be grateful. Thank you. NIO to the moon as the long term is still very bright, and peace out.